Hi, and welcome to the award-winning Connecting with Kim show here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. I'm your host, Kim Droege. My goal every week is to bring you information about people, places, and organizations which will help you live your best life in our corner of paradise. Please like and follow my Instagram, Facebook, and X account for the latest information on the show, my guests, and my wardrobe, which is provided by the Spring Boutique located on the corner of Swann and Henderson here in Tampa. I'm so excited because I have a very good friend on the show today, and it's his first time on my show. Well, no, you were on the radio show.
I've been on the radio show.
And so he's been with me a long time since the radio days, but now we're just pleased as punch to have him here in the studio. So let me introduce to you Master Deputy Jeff Mary, who is the Community Resource Deputy for Sun City Center and part of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Welcome, Jeff.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you having me.
It's so thrilling. I was really looking forward to this. So as everyone who watches the show knows, and you remember from our radio days, we always start off the show with everyone sharing a little bit about their journey, their life journey,
Okay.
because you just never know when somebody listening out there shared something in common with you, went to the same school or is from the same place or whatever. And that'll bring us to what we're here to talk about today. So
Okay. Absolutely.
take as much time as you want.
It's a journey with a couple tangents. Yeah. But well, so I was born and raised in Atlanta. I'm a 7th generation Atlantean. So, oh yes, go back, grandmama, granddaddy, great-grandmama, great-granddaddy. Lived up there, and then in 1990 we moved up to Lake Lanier, which is in North Georgia. That's where I finished high school. I went to Valdosta State University for my bachelor's, and then I started with the Hall County Sheriff's Office, June 16th, 1998. So 25 years and counting. Up there I was a jailer, I was a patrol deputy, and then the last 7 was white-collar detective. Left there and came to Hillsborough in 2011. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office is a really good agency. They pay their people well, their retirement's great. My benefits just weren't that great, and we decided to relocate, and I had to choose between Tampa and Hillsborough, and ultimately landed here, and I'm really glad I did. I love this agency and everything that they do for us. But I started here in 2011. I went to the academy, even though I had all of that experience. I also had my master's degree from University of North Georgia from 2005. I taught criminal justice intro classes as an adjunct prior to coming down here. But they started me at the bottom, and I was okay with it. They paid me well. They took care of us. Benefits were good for the family. So did that. Went to the road. Spent only a little over a year on patrol. And it's a funny story. I got 2 phone calls the same week. I got a phone call from a corporal who was in our Law Enforcement Nexus Center. And he said, "Hey, I see you're writing this RICO case." He's like, "You're a night shift deputy. Why are you writing this RICO case?" And I was like, "Well, I was a white-collar detective. I was doing check fraud and check washing and credit card fraud and identity theft way back when." I said, "This is a good case." And he says, "Well, I may bring you up here because that ties into a couple things that we're working on with these suspects." And it ended up being a multi-jurisdictional case where it's organized retail fraud. They were paying people to go into Walmart, steal from one Walmart, and then paying other people to return it at another Walmart, and then go into another Walmart and cash in those gift cards for cash, monetizing them into cash. Just a whole big, and it was from Pinellas all the way over to Orange County, up to Hernando County and south, and I'm just on night shift, and I'm working with
What an operation. Good Lord.
The Walmart AP, and we're just putting everything together.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, and linking it. Well, then the next day, a sergeant from the district intelligence called me and said, "Hey, how are you writing this report? What are you doing?" I told him, I've got, some experience. I've done this for a little bit. And he says, "Well, we may bring you over here and let you finish working that out." I'm like, "Well, I just got a call yesterday, so y'all have to coordinate on who gets me." And so, again, only spent a little time on the road, and they drug me over to the district intelligence unit. I finished out working that case. We submitted it to the statewide prosecutor. They did their thing with it. But the district intelligence was working on a red tide task force. The task force was called Red Tide. And they were going after people that were stealing red label diesel, or red dye diesel, which is tax-free diesel. Well, as they were busting them, they found out they brought in this whole nexus of credit cards and gas station skimming credit cards, and then using those stolen credit cards to fill up these truck bladders and then reselling them to, the diesel fuel truck yards here in Tampa. Well, nobody on the team really had that background of credit cards, so he drug me in. He's like, well, can you do this? And I'm like, of course I can. That's the easy stuff. Then they credentialed me with Department of Homeland Security, and so from that point it went to, we're attacking all these credit card skimmers, to now we're attacking the black market, the black web credit card sites, the ones that buy your stolen credit card
Right.
and then resell it.
Right.
We're shutting those down.
Right.
I mean, one of the websites that we targeted actually had part of the Target breach, had 25 million of the cards from the Target breach.
And doesn't it still amaze you, the creativity of these people?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm constantly amazed at the creativity of these people. And I always think to myself, if all that creativity and productiveness was directed at the regular economy, good Lord.
But so 20 years ago, somebody steal your credit card and go use it. Now, somebody hacks your credit card from a payment processor. They sell it to an online broker. The online broker sells it to somebody. That person has somebody else use it to bust it out. I mean, it's no longer, a one-man thing. It's organized crime. They're hosted in places like the Ukraine and other places that are non-extradition.
Right.
So that task force comes to a close. We didn't get everybody, but we did some good work. We locked a bunch of people away on federal charges.
Yeah.
Even the little guys are spending 10 years in federal prison.
Yeah.
And so we did a lot of good work. Well, when that shut down, I had only been sheriff's office a little under 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, I was not eligible for detective. Well, that's fine. I knew I had to work my time. And so my major at the time in District 4, he comes up to me and he says, hey, you should have put in for the Sun City Center Community Resource Deputy position. And, I kind of chuckled and was like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah, why would I want to do that?
Am I in trouble? I don't know anything about that. I don't have that's not like, and he's like, trust me. He's like, so put in for it. Finally gets, I get the position over the other deputies, and then he comes back to me a couple weeks later, and he's like, do you know why I want to put you down there? And I'm like, I have no clue. I have no idea. And he says, research some of the crime statistics. Look what goes on. I'm like, okay. Well, so the first thing I notice is it's about 30,000 residents. Average age is 73. It's a retirement community. And it consists of 5 neighborhoods, 13 assisted living facilities, and about 6,000 golf carts. So, it's I don't want to call it the villages, but it resembles the villages, just smaller.
Reduced villages.
Right, 130 versus 30,000. Yeah. So, so I went back and I look and I research, and there's not a lot of theft down there. There's not a lot of your vehicle burglaries, your auto thefts. There's not a lot of
break-ins,
because
house break-ins, stuff like that.
They don't have that 16 to 23-year-olds.
Right.
Those are the ones that commit the crimes. They don't have them. What they do have, they have scams, and I mean it is non-stop scams. Like every day, 2 to 3 people come into my little substation in Sun City Center, and they were victimized. They lost money on a scam, and my community service aide initiates that report, gets all the information, all the paperwork, and then we investigate it. And that's why he wanted me there, because he felt that with my training, my background, I could help out, a lot of those residents.
Well, now wait a minute. Okay, so I just want to tell you folks out there. Okay, so Jeff is our community resource deputy, and my mom and dad have lived in that community since 1989. So I can tell you, since 1989, we've always had a community resource deputy dedicated to our community, which our community loves, right? And we've had, some lovey relationships and some not so lovey relationships with our community resource deputies. But in any case, when Jeff came, well, it was a match made in heaven. So anytime Sheriff Chronister comes down to our community for any reason, I don't care what it is, the first thing our community says to Sheriff Chronister is, don't take Jeff away. Don't take Jeff. Don't even think about it. Don't even go there. And what's the first thing, words out of Chronister's mouth when he comes down?
He's not going anywhere.
I'm not taking Jeff away.
If he don't want to go, he's going to stay.
I mean, I'm telling you people, they throw you birthday parties, they make stuff for you, they invite you to, you are universally loved.
Yes.
And it's a good thing, because you're right, the scamming in our community targeted at our community and other senior communities never stops.
Right. And I started that position on April 15th of 2015. So I've been down there 8.5 years. And we have seen an increase in reporting every single year of scams. And I like to believe that it's the fact that we're out in the community and I'm talking to people about it and I'm telling them, because here's a staggering fact. Only 1 in 24, according to MetLife, AARP, and the FBI, only 1 in 24 seniors reports that they were victimized by a scam.
Well, it's an embarrassing thing to report.
Yes.
Let's start with that. It's an embarrassing thing to report because you like to think you're smarter than that.
Yes.
And we do have our community is not just filled with people who are sitting around doing nothing all day, twiddling their thumbs.
No.
They're active people. They're volunteering. They're involved in organizations. But if you have to, and by the time you know you should report it, you're sucked in so bad. Now it's even more embarrassing.
You're
right?
already into it. And they do. They come in, I can't believe I fell for this. I can't believe I was that gullible. And I tell them, I'm like, that has nothing to do with these scammers. Like these scammers nowadays, it again is organized crime. Mm-hmm. They know what they're doing. They are well funded. They are well trained. Last year alone, my CSA took over $7 million worth of losses in reports. And that, again, that's just
a tiny part.
And it's just for a little part of the county,
right.
And it's just the ones that reported it.
Right.
AARP just came out and said that they estimate over $28 billion of losses of seniors over age of 65 last year alone. $28 billion.
That's a huge number. That's the bigger than GDP of some countries.
Yes. And think about this. Those people can't replenish that.
No.
If I lose a few $1,000s or a couple $1,000s, $10,000, $20,000 today, I can go work Raymond James or work the amphitheater, work,
yeah,
football
you can do
game
overtime, do all kinds of stuff.
Yes, I can make that back. But if you're 78 years old and there's no way to make that back.
Nope.
And in today's economy, it's even tougher for them.
Even tougher.
Because
your investments aren't earning anything.
No, and what they thought they would needed to retire on 10 years ago is not what they need to retire now.
Not at all.
I look at that now. My retirement is we're still quite a ways away, and that's okay. I'm good with it. But no, they get the biggest one right now that we're seeing is the tech support scam. Where they take over the computer. You click a link or you click an attachment, an email, and they take over the whole computer. And then from there, they go into all of your investment accounts and all of your brokerage accounts and your Capital One banking, and they start moving money. Then you call them, and they suck you in even further. We had one that it was tech support from Microsoft, and they called them, and they're like, oh, well, the bad guys are probably already in your computer. Now, they were showing them one screen and doing stuff on the back end. They were already moving money out. And they said, oh, we think your Capital One's, hacked. Let me get a Capital One rep on the line for you. And we got the Capital One rep on the line. Oh, we think, your Raymond James is. And so the reason they were going through the people is they were able to get the person to bypass their two-party authentication.
Right.
So that's why they were like, oh, well, let me transfer you here. All said and told, in the matter of 45 days, it was $1.23 million worth of loss. That was absolutely devastating. That couple, and it was a couple, can no longer live the way they want to live.
Right.
The only, I'd say, saving grace is, I am at times able to get money back.
You are, and you have been. I want to commend you for that because you are like a dog with a bone. Once they come to you and report what has happened to them and elicit your help, you just pursue it doggedly until you try to get some of their money back, right?
Oh yeah.
And that means the world to some of these people. Yeah. If you're just joining me now and connecting with Kim, my guest in the chair is Master Deputy Jeff Mary, who is the Community Resource Deputy for Sun City Center and working for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. And we are talking about scams, the unrelenting, sophisticated, very well thought out and planned scams that are increasingly targeted at my community and other communities like my community?
Oh, seniors all over. I even though I'm Sun City Center Community Resource Deputy, I go to assisted living and independent living facilities all over Hillsborough County and educate. 60% of my job is to go out there and tell them, because that's the only way that you're going to stop them. You know, we're not going to stop them any other method other than understanding and knowing what to do. And I'll reiterate this: it's verify. You know, trust but verify everything. Your granddaughter calls you and needs money. Call your granddaughter. Call them on another line. Call them later. Call them 5 minutes later. If they don't answer, call them 10 minutes later. If your bank sends you an email and says you've been hacked, don't call anything on the bank. Go out and find your bank's number yourself. If Publishers Clearinghouse tells you that you won, which that's number 2.
That's huge, right?
That's
the Publishers Clearinghouse is huge.
Absolutely. Everybody still remembers, Ed McMahon and big checks coming to your house with a balloons and everything. And and we talked about how their retirement doesn't go as far.
Nope.
So, somebody telling you, hey, you remember entering Publishers Clearinghouse 20 years ago? You won $2 million in a Mercedes-Benz. And at first they never believe them.
No,
they don't.
No.
But eventually they work on them enough, and they do. They'll send them stuff in the mail with little gold stamps, and they'll send them, what looks legitimate attorney letterhead where, you're forfeiting your winnings, and they'll use those tools to their advantage to try to legitimize their scam.
Well, and a lot of people, I get emails all the time.
Yes.
Now, fortunately, they go into my spam account, but I always look through my spam account just to see what's in there, because sometimes stuff goes in there that you don't want in there, right? But the first thing I do is look at the mailing address.
Right.
The entire mail address, right? That is usually your first tip-off that this is bogus, right?
Well, I would say the first tip-off is if they want you to call them.
Yeah.
Because if the scammer texts or no matter how they try to get in touch with you, text, email, letter, they want you on the phone.
Right.
Because they know what they're doing on the phone.
They know what to say. They want to start working you.
Yep. And they know they're salespeople.
Yeah.
If they don't sell you, they're not going to eat tonight. And they know the book. They're well versed. They're so good that I've had people tell me, "Oh, I was going to play with them on the phone because I knew it was a scammer." And by 2 hours later, I was sending them $6,000, in gift cards. And, so I tell everybody, don't engage them on the phone. Don't answer them on the phone. Don't call them on the phone. IRS doesn't call you on the phone. Social Security doesn't call you on the phone. Be very wary of anybody that wants you on that phone, because there's a reason, because they can break down your barriers. And another thing that I talk about in my education is scammers always want to put you in crisis mode and make things emotional. That's how it all works. That's how they get you to not be so gullible. That's how they get you to fall for it. It's got nothing to do with how cognizant you are,
right? How smart you are.
I had a couple that they volunteered with 2 or 3 different organizations. They were on top of it, but over the span of about 2 years, they lost $700,000 on Publishers Clearinghouse. And it's not because they were gullible. They were as cognizant and good as you and I.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the bad guys know what they're doing. They sent them paperwork after paperwork. They even sent them a little safe in the mail and told them that their winnings were inside that safe. Which that's a funny anecdote, but probably a little long for this show. But so it's not gullibility, it's emotion and crisis.
Well, and we all know that the minute you get emotional, you get irrational.
Yes.
All of your safeguards fly out the window, and you are running on adrenaline, and you are not thinking clearly any longer.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I always say that's when you hang up. Because now you have a chance to take a deep breath, take a step back, and verify. And look at the situation and start to gain lower your emotional level and start to gain your rationality back. I always tell my mother the same thing. They always want to engage with these people. And I'm like, don't engage with them. Because they know. They're so good.
Yes.
They know how to play the game with you.
Yes. Well, it's like when you go to buy a car.
Yeah.
You just went through this experience.
I just went through this.
But when you go to a car lot, they want to put you in the car. The salesman doesn't want to talk about the price or the down payment or what they're going to give you. They want to put you in the car so that you feel the new leather seats and you get that new car smell and you see all the gadgets, and it's got, you know, heated seats, which we don't need here, but the air conditioning seats is nice. Why? Because they want to switch off the rational part of you that knows that you can't afford this car, and they want you emotionally attached to the car. It's exactly what the bad guys do. They break down those barriers using your own emotion to attach you to, you know, we do have a lot of romance scam or even friendship scam. You know, that's how they break down those barriers.
Yeah.
With Publishers Clearinghouse and lottery, it's you don't have enough money to afford tomorrow. Here it is.
Yeah.
Here's enough money for you to afford tomorrow. With the Amazon and with the Amazon or the Microsoft Explorer, it's somebody stealing all of your personal information as we speak.
Right.
Again, it's emotion and crisis, and that's how they do it. And they billions and billions of dollars go to this. And you know, I said just a little thing like on the 1.23. I got that couple back 85 grand only because of my prior knowledge and understanding of anti-money laundering laws, and banks just kind of hold stuff into perpetuity if they don't know where it actually goes. And so I was able to write some seizure warrants and get that back. And I just got I had a victim of $37,000 on a Publishers Clearinghouse, and Wells Fargo just remitted a check back to us for $8,000. I write seizure warrants, they send it to evidence, then the victim gets to come up to evidence, and we give them that money.
Well, and you know, any little bit they get back is a godsend.
Yes.
And I want you to know too that, you know, Jeff works very closely in our community is 16 square miles. And in our community we have like what, 17 financial institutions?
18 because of TD Bank opening.
There you go. 18 financial institutions. So, I mean, the bad guys know where to go to get the money,
Yes.
right? It's not, I mean, it's not rocket science. And you work very closely with and try to educate the financial institutions located within that 16 square miles of what to look for when somebody's being scammed. Because the faster we jump on the scam and stop it, the more chance we have of A, not having the money disappear, but B, getting the money back.
Right. And a scammer's not going to stop on their own. They're going to drag it out, and they're going to take as much money until there's no more money, or until somebody intercedes. And that's either the bank, it's either a friend, or it's typically law enforcement. You know, and that's why, you know, you definitely have helped me out a lot. I'm trying to push some legislation, get a new law here in the state of Florida. Senator Rousson has it now in bill writing, where the banks themselves can hold, if they feel that it's exploitation or a scam, they can hold that transaction for up to 15 business days. And the banks don't have that ability to do that right now. So if you go into a bank and you're trying to withdraw $40,000 or $50,000 in cash, you know, they have to let you.
Well, and we are so grateful to Senator Rousson and Senator Boyd, who are going to be working with us on this, and he'll be in the chair next week, Senator Rousson. So we'll have a chance to talk about that. But we only have a few minutes left, so I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to look into your camera and deliver any message that you feel you would like to share with our folks listening and watching out there. And more importantly, share with them, where can they report? If they think they're being scammed, if they think something, where do they go and who do they talk to?
Right.
So take it away.
First off, verify everything. A text message, phone calls, emails. You yourself go out and verify that it's Publishers Clearinghouse, or that it's your grandson or your granddaughter, or that it's the IRS. That'll keep you out of 99.99% of those situations. But if you are a victim or you do feel you're scammed, call the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Our non-emergency number is 813-247-8200. 813-247-8200. Call us. Right now, we are going to give you some additional steps. You know, report it to FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, report it to the Federal Trade Commission, but start with us and we'll guide you through the process from there. But with anything, verify, don't send money, don't send Western Unions, don't deposit money into somebody's account, don't give them the numbers off the back of credit cards. All of those things helpful, but the biggest thing is just to verify who you're talking to and who wants you to send them money.
And folks, I just want to say one other thing. Like we've said repeatedly throughout the show, it really has nothing to do with how smart you are, how engaged you are in life, or how, all the experience you've had. It really has nothing to do with that. They are targeting you because you have money, and they want your money. And more importantly, hang on to your money. It's your money. You worked hard for it. You planned for it. You saved for your retirement. Don't give anybody your money. Don't give it to them.
And don't feel gullible.
And don't feel gullible. And don't feel embarrassed.
Go to
the Sheriff's Department and report it. So, Jeff, thank you so much for being my guest today on Connecting with Kim. We'll, unfortunately, because scamming goes on all the time, you're probably going to have to come back because we'll have to talk about whatever the latest scam is. But thank you for being with us today.
AI's next.
So that's all we have time for today on Connecting with Kim here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. I'd like to thank my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, who provides services and empowering services and shelter and safety for survivors of domestic violence and their children. And they've been doing it for a very long time, and they do it really well. And the net proceeds from their thrift store on North Willow, as well as the Spring Boutique located on the corner of Swann and Henderson, support their mission. So please frequent there and shop there. All of my on-air wardrobe comes from the Spring Boutique. You can find out all the information on my Facebook, Instagram pages of what will be available. And I want to thank you for joining us today on Connecting with Kim, and we'll be back next week with another fun and exciting episode informing you how to live your best life here in our corner of paradise. So long.